Most people don't feel poor. They feel paused, not broken, not collapsing, just waiting, waiting for next month, waiting for things to get easier, waiting for their life to finally feel like it's moving. And the strange part is that waiting doesn't feel like failure. It feels responsible. You pay your bills, you show up to work, you don't take crazy risks. So you assume you're doing things right. But waiting mode is one of the most expensive financial states a person can live in. Because while you're waiting, the system keeps charging. Every month begins the same way. Your paycheck arrives, and before it even feels real, it starts disappearing. Rent, phone, subscriptions, debt, transport, insurance. Nothing dramatic happens. Your bank app doesn't flash red. The money just moves, quietly. And when the month ends, you don't feel like you spent anything stupid. You just feel like there's nothing left. So you tell yourself, once this phase passes, I'll start saving. Once things settle, I'll plan. Once I earn a little more, I'll breathe. That's waiting mode, and modern life is built to keep you inside it. Because waiting people are predictable people. Predictable people pay on time, and the system loves that. Most people don't fall into waiting mode because they mess up. They fall into it because things stabilize. You get a routine. You get fixed costs. You get responsibilities. Nothing explodes. But slowly, the routine fills every gap. Your paycheck doesn't vanish. It just arrives already spoken for. And because you're technically managing, nothing feels urgent. So you stay. That's the trap. Waiting mode only exists when margin is gone. But the pain isn't sharp enough to wake you up. You're surviving just comfortably enough to not panic, and just tightly enough to never move forward. That middle zone is where years disappear. When you don't have margin, you stop thinking in futures. You stop asking, what could I build? What would I choose? What would I risk? And you start asking, how do I not mess this up? That shift is subtle, but it changes everything. Because once your brain is in containment mode, you stop looking for exits. You're not planning, you're managing. And management never creates freedom. It only maintains the trap. Waiting mode also changes how you feel. You don't feel excited anymore. You feel relieved. You get through the month and think, okay, that was close. That sigh is the system working. Because a person who feels relieved will not take risks. They won't cancel things. They won't shake anything up. They won't disrupt the machine. They'll hold still. And holding still is exactly what modern life is designed to reward. Now imagine your income rises. In waiting mode, that doesn't create freedom. It creates comfort, a slightly better phone, a nicer place, a few upgrades you postponed. Nothing reckless, but the structure resets. You're still waiting, just at a higher cost. That's why people say, I earn more than I used to, but I don't feel any safer. Because waiting mode scales with income. The system expands to absorb whatever you give it. Now let's talk about what finally breaks people inside waiting mode. It's never some dramatic disaster. It's a small problem landing on top of a month that already has no room. A car repair, a school payment, a dentist bill, a family obligation. Not a crisis, just enough. And the system reacts immediately. Late fees appear, overdrafts hit, interest grows, pressure builds. Waiting mode doesn't collapse. It leaks, and every leak makes the next month tighter. So you juggle. You move money around. You delay one bill to pay another. You promise yourself you'll fix it next month. You don't feel reckless. You feel careful. But careful, inside a broken structure, still leads to loss. Because the structure never stops pulling. Waiting mode also drains energy. Every day becomes a series of tiny financial decisions. Do I pay this now or later? Can this wait? Will there be a fee? Can I use credit this time? That constant mental math is exhausting. And exhausted people don't plan escapes. They plan survival. That's why waiting mode lasts for years. Not because people don't want better lives, but because they are too busy managing today to build tomorrow. Banks love waiting mode. Subscription companies love waiting mode. Service providers love waiting mode because waiting mode creates the perfect customer. You don't cancel. You don't renegotiate. You don't take risks. You pay on time, every month. That's predictable revenue. That's extraction. You are not a person in this system. You are a schedule, a payment, a line on a spreadsheet. When your money is always spoken for, you stop feeling ownership. You don't think, this is my money, Lickler. You think, this is already gone. So people stop dreaming. They start coping. Small comforts, small distractions, small upgrades. Because when the future feels closed, the present becomes everything. Waiting mode isn't loud, it's gentle. And that's what makes it deadly. People tell themselves, this is just a phase. But waiting mode is not a phase. It is a structure. Even good news doesn't fix it. A raise, a bonus, a side income. For a moment, you feel hopeful. Then the system expands. A higher rent, a new payment, a new subscription. You're still waiting, just at a higher level. Waiting mode creates guilt. You look at people who seem ahead and think, what am I doing wrong? But you're not doing something wrong. You're inside something. That guilt keeps people quiet. Quiet people don't cancel. They don't negotiate. They don't leave. Now here's how waiting mode breaks. Not with a miracle, with margin. Margin is not just savings. It's anything that gives future you options. Time, cash, lower fixed costs, less obligation, one interruption, one payment that disappears, 1 month where money doesn't reset to zero. That small break changes your psychology. You stop holding your breath. You stop living in countdowns. You start seeing beyond the next bill. That's when life stops feeling paused. That's when time starts moving again. Most people don't need to escape poverty. They need to escape waiting. Waiting is where dreams shrink. Waiting is where energy dies. Waiting is where years disappear. But once you see it, you can start pushing back, quietly, structurally, one crack at a time. If this felt uncomfortably familiar, subscribe to Poverty Traps. We don't shame. We don't hype. We explain the systems that quietly keep people stuck. And tell me in the comments, what have you been waiting for? More money, fewer bills, or just some breathing room?